Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas. We're currently the 28th of December, 27th, don't know, one of the days in between Christmas and New Year. So I've been away for Christmas, so not actually touched the car for probably getting on for a week now. So just thought I'd better give a bit of an overview. Hopefully you all seen the last video, which was just the car running, and it sounds awesome. I got it all up to temperature and everything, all was fine. Still got to do a little bit bleeding, getting the heater matrix all bled up and everything, but it worked and was lovely. So what I've also done, so as you can see, got all the rad on, all the coolant lines, everything, all the wiring still needs tidying up. That's sort of one of the things I'm tackling today. So the power steering is all plumbed up as well. That was another job I had to do because the lines, the V8 lines that came on it, came on the donor, were perished, very bad condition, and snapped when they came off, so there was no option to use them. It's not very easy to get replacement ones of them. Nowhere seems to sell them. Jaguar, Landrover sell them but don't have any in stock, so I was like, well, I'm just going to try and see if I can make the TDV6 lines work on the V8 pump. It turns out they do, all the fittings are the same, so that's all worked. I mean, it's all still got to be bled up and everything once the car's back on the ground, but that works plumbed in. Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to go through today is just quickly what's involved with modifying the Autobox harness plug. What feeds in and out of it do you need to make everything work sort of as it should at the moment. I still haven't driven it yet, so there's still some faults that are coming up that I think are going to be related to wheel speed. So you get you tend to get some faults, certainly ABS, some air suspension faults and stuff, once everything's been reset, and it needs to roll for 20 meters before it triggers certain things. So I'm not going to worry too much about that until it's all driving, and then I'll go into figuring out all that sort of stuff. But one of the last things to do, which I've just done, or just got off the donor car, is the rear lambdas. So I've got a pair of brand new rear lambdas to go in it because I stupidly cut the plugs too close to the lambdas, so I can't solder a new wires, so that's fine, that was my own fault. But anyway, I got new lambdas, so I've just had to swap over I'm in the process of swapping over the rear lambda wiring loom. The front lambdas, so pre-cat lambdas, are part of the engine loom. Post-cat lambdas are part of the Autobox loom. So very easy to figure out from the loom what bits you need. You know, you've got two lambda plugs that sit underneath the car to the rear of the Autobox. They've got their own wires, and then the only other wire that is then attached to them is this heavy duty wire, which is the power feed for the heating elements in the lambdas. So, and that's then just got a plug here which plugs into the into the auto loom just there. So that's what that last plug is, that doesn't have anything connected to it. That's all that does. That's just the rear lambdas. So so this is the plug from the, let's put this somewhere. So this is the plug from the Autobox loom. So this is on the gearbox side of the loom, and plugs into this one down here, the loom. The first thing I did, as I described, is looping the canvas network in and out. What I've also since done to get everything running, so this is for the LPG, that has a canvas feed into it. So what I've done is I've teed off that. It's not in line, it is in parallel with it. That used to go in the car and spliced into the what do you call it, the OBD port, but I figured as I've got a nice easily accessible OBD thing here, it saves me chopping up the loom in there, because that is my original car loom and that isn't chopped up. So so they're the two first ones I did. The second one was to get the starter relay working, which is the brown and white, the thick brown and white wire connected to the brown and orange wire. The brown and orange wire is the feed to what would normally be a park neutral switch, but obviously I don't have that, so this just gives it permanent 12 volts when the ignition's on, so it means that it doesn't stop it starting. So that's figured out. And then the final one is just the power feed for the lambdas, so that all just gets put in together. So I'm now just going to tape all that up, and that lives down there. I'm going to try and cable tie it up out the way, so it's not, if there is any water sits down there, it's not going to be sitting in water. But yeah, that's easy enough. Again, I've left all the wires, the rest of the wires long, so that if I find there's any other sensors in there that I need to tap into to make things work better, if I have to have emulators or anything like that, I can always do that at a later date. So yeah, so both suspension arms, bottom suspension arms were swapped over, so that's nice. I've got two, so that means now everything except the actual upright on the front suspension is less than 10,000 miles old, which is great. Most of the rear suspension is new, but there is still some that needs replacing on that. I'll do that at a later date. So the exciting news is we're 27th, 28th of December. The MOT for this is booked on the 5th of January. So that basically gives me, so we're Wednesday today, so it gives me a week basically to get this finished, which I think is doable. One of my next challenges is going to be getting the front prop shaft on. I suddenly twigged that I can't remember at what point I took that off when taking the donor engine out, but I have a funny feeling the exhaust are in the way, so I've had to have the centre section exhaust back off again just to shorten it to get the tailpipes to sit correctly. So I haven't put that back on in case I need to move one of the manifolds out the way or something to get the drive shaft in. Hopefully that shouldn't be too much drama, but looking under there's not a lot of room, and I know they can be a pain. It's just remembering how I got it out. So once that's done, then the exhaust can go back on, fit these rear lambdas, and then the car can go back on the ground, which is massively exciting. Once the car's back on the ground, I need to jack back up, just connect to the I've got a pipe going to the fuel tank carbon canister at the back, that basically the vacuum line from the inlet manifold goes all the way to the back of the car. So I just need to, that's just bunged up at the moment, so I need to attach that to the canister. Most of the interior is back together, I'll show you that now. I've still got some wiring to do, some auxiliary wiring and stuff, but I'm not too worried about doing that at the moment. All my headlining is back in place, so I've run wires up here, and my aerial and stuff for my CB all runs up here. So at some point when I'm not quite so pressed for time, I'll put my CB up there. Got all my switch right there for my auxiliary lights and everything. Got wires here for gauges, and just need to swap. I'm going to try and put the ashtray bit from the other car in this, because my one was annoying and kept popping out. So, but other than that, most of the interior is back together. Some of the rear interior stuff isn't back together at the moment, just because it's a pain, because at the moment I'm using the back as storage for stuff. So once that's all cleared, I'll put all that back together, but ultimately that's not essential for MOT, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm mainly concentrating on getting everything back on that's needed for its MOT, so I can be done with that. So the donor car at the moment is sat behind it, but is only that suspension arm going back on, away from being dropped on the ground and pushed out the way, because then I can bring the Range Rover here and rip the brakes off the Range Rover, put them on this. So that's going to be maybe tomorrow's job. Hopefully all goes all right. But yeah, I'm hoping all the front ends should go back together fairly quickly. You know, I've already been through, I've chased all the threads, I've repaired any damaged threads and stuff, so hopefully it should go back together relatively easily. And yeah, so that's just a little bit of an update on how things are going. I've done a little bit of testing with the clutch. I had my wife sat in it with the clutch pedal to the floor, and I was underneath turning the output shaft, and at some point between the bottom and the top it does bite and it does stop the output shaft turning, but until it's on the ground and I can actually try it, I can't confirm anything. I've had first couple of inquiries from people for flywheel kits. At the moment I'm just waiting to have this confirmed. You know, I want to drive this and make sure it works before I start saying yes, it's a working kit and it can be sold. I've got prices, I've got lead times and everything, so if anyone is interested, let me know and I'll quote prices. I'm undecided yet as to whether or not I will supply them with or without a clutch. Don't know yet. I'll see what people want to do. I'm happy to get hold of clutches for people. I can get them at good rates, so if people want me to supply clutches I will, but we'll just see, you know, as and when. So that's quite exciting, and yeah, that's about it for now. So hopefully a nice quick one, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment anything you like or dislike or anything like that, and yeah, give it a thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.